president of the board, I have no comments to make. The items on the agenda may be taken out of order. A member of the board may request a combination of 2 or more agenda items for consideration. A board member may also request removal of an item from the agenda or delay discussion at any time. The board may take brief public comments on agenda items as each item is open for discussion. We'll move on to the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda, removing item number 3 from the consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion.
I think we need to amend the minutes as well, because I think the minutes that were posted with the agenda and the minutes that were
I thought with the new minutes.
With the new minutes.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to include the minutes from the 2019 meeting were amended, and those are the minutes that we will read into the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have a vote? 5 in favor, none opposed. So let's see, what is the amendment to item 2?
Item 2 is just this packet that we received from Mary, and then also this one that switched from Ed to Ted.
We're going to pull this from the agenda of this meeting, and then we'll come back at the next meeting, the minutes.
That was item number 3.
That was item number 3 for the special meeting.
The special meetings weren't prepared in time, so we can't review those.
So we, at this meeting, we'll the next meeting. Okay, do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
We voted on
it.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 6, which is the discussion, possible action, discussion of and update on status of the proposed state bill to potentially modify the district's charter. Possible action by the board may include, but are not limited to, provisions of additional instructions regarding the changes or modifications the board desires to make to the district's charter and direction, or assignment to district staff and representatives. I believe we've done all this, haven't we, Eric? Aaron was there.
Yeah, this went before legislation, and the bill draft that went wasn't the most up to date. It didn't have the board's intent of having the board members staggered, and for the first 2 years it would require just 2 short 2-year terms, and then after that 4 years, so they'd always be staggered. That wasn't in there, and so Warren Hardy and also Crescent Hardy was sponsoring it, made that recommendation to the legislature to have that amended, and they asked questions about it, and all agreed that we could bring that back another time to, or within this timeline, to have it updated. And another item that is not in our currently, that it was in the board's intent, was to discuss the compensation, or have the board be able to change that compensation in there. Currently that was not in there, and it was a recommendation from Warren and from Crescent that might be postponed until have more time to have that looked at. If you would like, Warren just called before the start of this meeting and said if you had questions, we could call him in. Any questions asked? He's in Carson City at the moment.
It was my understanding, Aaron, that Warren, well, not Warren, but Assemblyman Hardy had asked that we do a kind of a study, survey, to see what other board, and I don't care if that goes on the bill or not, to be quite honest, but he did say that if it was to go forward, he would like to see comparison with other water districts and what they were paid. So
that is correct. That was the recommendation, and receive direction staff to look into that if you'd like. And that again could be put on to a future item before legislation.
Might be interesting just to take a poll right now to see how many of our board members really feel like a salary increase is even appropriate. Sound like we have one on the end that didn't care, so.
That was my
Maybe we're
position when
doing
we
a
first.
lot of time for a study we don't need to do.
I think the main reason we put that on there is it's 16 years, and if you don't, you're gonna have to go back through the legislation process, which is, as we know, is very cumbersome, so maybe 10 years from now, if you wanna change that, other than go through the legislation, you could do it locally. Wasn't that the purpose, I think, of the original intent of that?
Yeah.
I certainly don't wanna hold it up.
Well, the way that it's been presented now to the legislature, it's not even in the
Yeah.
bill draft, so.
Mr. President, there's, maybe Mr. Folsom from Alamo can shed some light on what the.
Wade Polson, Lincoln County Water District General Manager. 2003, Lincoln County Water District received their charter. Ours was basically set up as much like yours. My board receives $80 per meeting, whatever meeting, and then we established a meeting policy as to what meetings they would get paid for if they attended. So, if that helps.
Yeah.
$80 goes a lot further in Alamo than it does in Mesquite.
And that's where we're at on that same thing.
I think my biggest complaint or concern about the whole thing was that we had asked to be able to change it to any amount at any time this board so chose. And I think that was as far as I'm concerned, was not appropriate for us.
I don't remember
I think
that.
it's that, and I think because that's what I believe was the fact that it was that we would be able to change it at different times to whatever amount. It would not affect those who are on the board at this time, but it would affect the ones that would come in at the next time.
I remember that.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Okay, so what's the,
Barbara's got a comment.
Barbara Ellisted, Mesquite Citizen Journal. The last time we had this discussion, I think we talked about, and I just want to make sure that this is clarified with whatever change Mr. Hardy has done. But we talked the last time that you were going to draw straws to see who was going to go past 2014 for election terms. And I think we talked that, you can't necessarily do that because you could possibly extend somebody's elected term, and that's illegal. So I just want to make sure that this new language takes that out of the equation.
I think it does. The way I understand it is everyone's gonna be reelected in 2014.
Okay.
and they set that, the legislature set that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then they will set the one from Bunkerville, one from Mesquite, that will go only a 2-year term at that time, and then they'll go.
So in 2016 is when we'll start the staggered terms, is that correct?
That's correct.
But
Okay,
everyone
so-
will be reelected in 2014.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that that was in there, that I understood it that way. Thank you.
I don't know that we need to make a motion on this, but I think that my direction would, Warren, would be just to proceed without worrying about the compensation being included in the bill. That's my stance.
Is that a motion?
I'll
Well,
make
we're
a
not gonna
motion.
make a motion, I don't think.
Well, we can.
Well, yes, I think it's
Probably would be
I'll
good
make a
to
motion
clarify
that,
that.
I'll make a motion that we direct Warren to have the bill proceed with, not taking into consideration the compensation portion of the motion.
And to continue forward with what Kenny described in terms of the staggering and all of that.
Yes, right, yeah, everything as outlined by Warren.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we go to item 7. For discussion and possible action, consideration to approve engagement letter from Weiss & Smith, Racker and Prescott LLP to perform annual audit for the fiscal year ending June 30th. Mr. West.
You all have a copy of the engagement letter with my memo to that. Do you have any questions about that?
No, sir.
No?
That's my recommendation, that we proceed with accepting the audit firm and the engagement letter as outlined.
I guess they went up 3%. I guess that's applicable.
I think it was reasonable.
They did a good job, right?
They've done a good job, and they've been good to work with, and as I stated in my memo, there's been several times where I've had technical questions and I've been able to call them and get a response from them without additional costs involved, and they've been responsive and helpful, so I feel like it's been a good working relationship. And they've also made a couple of recommendations to how we could do some things that might be beneficial to the district in terms of our accounting and the way we handle things, and so I feel like it's been a good working relationship.
Okay. The board, any comments from the board? Do I have a motion from the board?
I'll make a motion that we go into contract with Wiseman Smith, Riker, and Prescott LLP to perform the annual audit.
I'll second.
Fiscal year 23.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have favor, none opposed.